Okay, so let me just tell you what's going on with me. I have been locked out of my Twitter feed because I allegedly posted a tweet that allegedly broke one of the rules of Twitter. Which rule is it? Who the hell knows? They don't tell you. What should you do? Delete the tweet, and it's an admission. It's an admission of wrongdoing that I broke the rules. I don't know which rule I broke, allegedly, because they don't tell you when they lock you out of your account. All that I can tell you is this was the tweet. I'll get into this just a touch before Barnes gets in here because I don't want to talk too much about the Pelosi incident without Barnes. There's this individual named Matt Gertz. He's a reporter, put out a 16-thread tweet with himself about now a whole bunch of right-wing Republican extremists, whatever, are going to believe a whacked-out conspiracy theory because Elon Musk put out a tweet that said, there might be more to this story, linking to an article in the Santa Monica Observer, which might be I won't say misinformation website. It might be an entertainment website, not National Geographic, not National Lampoons, National Enquirer. It might be, it might be a National Enquirer type. In 2016, the Santa Monica Observer and the same journalist who wrote the piece that Elon Musk linked to wrote a piece that Hillary Clinton died in 2016, and it's a body double that has since been replaced for her. Some people might believe it. I don't judge them. Everyone's entitled to believe what they want to believe, and if it doesn't hurt other people in a meaningful sense, not in a how dare you say that sense. The guy puts out a 16-thread tweet with himself. How people are going to believe this crazy conspiracy theory, and then tweets, replies to himself, replies to himself, replies to himself. I had responded to him 2 times before in two separate tweets, and then I just retweet his tweet and I say, a 16-tweet thread with himself explaining everything that happened before police released body cam footage or disclose where they found DePop's clothing, because that's what I want to know. And Matt Gertz accuses others of conspiracy theory disinformation. Massive events will generate massive discussion, period. And my punctuation was correct. It was the next sentence. It was clear. That's my tweet. That's my tweet. Violating one of our rules. This happened, by the way, the tweet got flagged at 4:25 Eastern time. And the tweet, I published the tweet at 4:25. It was within 30 seconds, maybe within a minute. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's the tweet. Anyone want to take a wild guess as to what rule that can possibly, in any realm of the universe, violate? I'm open to suggestions. So it says, hold on. It says, what do you do? What can you do? Well, you can delete the tweet. By clicking delete, you acknowledge that your tweet violated the Twitter rules. I don't have enough middle fingers to say how I feel about that recommendation. We interviewed James O'Keefe, and he said, the biggest mistake of his life, or the thing that he regrets the most, was having borne false witness to himself. Ordinarily, if I could see the tweet violating a rule, I might be inclined to delete it, not waste 2 hours or 2 days or whatever to get the account back. Load of crap. I'm not deleting that tweet. I'm not acknowledging that I broke any rules, because that is something that the powers that be will hold against you forever. What's very interesting is how that tweet, innocuous as it is, because it's innocuous. I'm not making any positive affirmations. I'm not making any name calling, harassment, targeted doxing, whatever. It's innocuous and pointing to the fact that in as much as someone wants to criticize Elon Musk for having shared an article, which he might not really have known what the Santa Monica Observer was, in as much as, people want to float conspiracy theories, and I'm saying conspiracy theories, and we'll get into it when Barnes gets here. The idea that, mainstream media, within 24 hours, they don't even know where the guy's pants are. They can say that right-wing extremists, that this is the result of political rhetoric, right-wing, far-right political vitriol. Load of crap. I'm, you know what? Let's talk about it until Barnes gets here. Paul Pelosi was apparently violently attacked by what is being described as an intruder into his house at 2 a.m, who broke through a window with a hammer, allegedly, as the reports are currently going, was heard saying, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" or is alleged to have said, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" Paul Pelosi ends up in the hospital, allegedly with a fractured skull and I believe a broken bone on his arm or injuries to his arm, underwent surgery, is expected to make a full recovery. Those are the initial details. Some are calling it an attempted political assassination. And then details come out that the individual, there was a police call placed where it's the reporting person, RP, saying, someone's in my house. I don't know who he is, but his name is David and he's a friend. That audio recording on the police recording was actually, from what I can tell, deleted afterwards. I'm going to bring Barnes in so that we can get it. Robert, I saw we have to start with the big one before we go. I'll lay the facts down, then we're going to get into what you think of all of this. That recording dispatch was deleted from the list, from the docket. The man was arrested allegedly after having lunged at Paul Pelosi and struck him with a hammer in his underwear. Allegedly, apparently, a third person opened the door to let the police in, and both the man and Paul Pelosi were, at least one was in their underwear. Both had hammers, apparently, but maybe it turns out that only Paul had a hammer and the man grabbed the hammer from him. The man was in his underwear. We don't know where his clothes are. We don't know who let the person in. Apparently, the initial dispatch was a wellness check on Paul Pelosi. And then it turns out that the assailant, the accused, still innocent, legally innocent, is a Berkeley resident, mentally unwell individual who had contacts with nudist individuals, himself was a nudist, hemp jewelry making individual who resided in Berkeley. He's in jail. Paul Pelosi has had a surgery and is expected to make a full recovery. And people are running with, Robert, help the world make sense for us. Did I miss any salient facts or allegations? Because the facts are not yet known. The individual, 42 years old, Canadian, from British Columbia, moved to Berkeley, is clearly mentally unwell by all accounts. His girlfriend, Gypsy something or other, is a nudist. Apparently, she's in jail, allegedly. I'm not sure if we know the reasons for which she's in jail. The guy allegedly broke into Paul Pelosi's home at 2:40 or 2 whatever in the morning, either in his underwear or got in his underwear afterwards. There was a wellness check. There was a call to the police. Paul Pelosi said he was going to the bathroom, got on his phone. Police were let in by a third party. The man allegedly lunged at, struck Paul Pelosi, and that's it. Did I miss any relevant facts there?
Well, we don't know all the facts. There's some terrible memes in our live chat at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Visual images you won't be able to lock out anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, this story smelled like Juicy Smollet's kind of story. In other words, that not saying that Pelosi faked it. It's just saying that the media narrative, the Democratic narrative, makes no sense. So that the Democrats jumped on this story right away, not as a problem of crime being epidemic in San Francisco, which it is, not as some oddball incident, but it clearly must be right-wingers break into the house as an extension of January 6th to attack poor Paul Pelosi. And it's like, in San Francisco at 2:30 in the morning, it's like, I don't think so. So then, as Harmeet Dillon pointed out, and as others have pointed out, there's intense security around Pelosi's house. Almost all. I mean, she explained that it was tough to get service of process because of how intense the security is. There's been no explanation about that. There apparently is video camera footage. None of it has been released or disclosed. There's been contradictory stories out of the San Francisco Police Department. The initial story was that there was a third person present. Now they're saying, no, there wasn't a third person present. But, I mean, the wellness check thing doesn't make any sense. Why somebody else would be in their underwear doesn't make any sense. The only footage we've seen of any glass being broken is where the glass is coming out, not going in.
I'll say what I said about that theory is that, I mean, look, I've never broken into a house before, but I can imagine if you smash a hammer through the glass, you can get it pointed through, and then to pull it back, you can pull the window out. I could see that. I wouldn't place too much weight on that. But Robert, for people who are saying, in response to the security query, people are saying, well, Nancy Pelosi was out of town. It's like the residence is not left unattended, unsecured while Pelosi's out of town. I mean, people can do a number of things to a property when Pelosi's out of town. Is that a wrong way to respond?
I mean, put it this way. There's been no official confirmation that there was no security present. Right. So, and the thing with the glass is, the doors don't even match, right? The talk is that he broke in through a sliding door. The doors we've seen photos of glass footage are not sliding doors. So was there something else going on? I mean, all of it. And this is the same Paul Pelosi who was recently arrested for DUI. So there's a lot of anomalies with this story. The attempt by the media and by Democrats to try to blame this on Republicans was just
immediately.
Yeah, immediately. I mean, Bob Woodward embarrassing himself on national TV suggesting this. I mean, what a lazy so-called investigative journalist. He's always really been a CIA boy, but that's another story for another day. Nothing about the story makes sense. At least the media narrative makes no sense at all. The Democratic narrative makes no sense at all. Trying to blame this, I mean, especially after there was a Republican that was attacked by that man who admitted he tried to run over him and kill him because of politics. That story was buried while this story is highlighted, and the media's willingness to believe this nonsense is just that this is going to be an embarrassing story for the media. Glenn Greenwald was pointing out there's just huge problems. He goes, first, so hold on. So a guy breaks into your house, he's attacking you, and then in the middle of it, he says, yeah, go ahead and take a bathroom break. And Greenwald's like, I don't think so.
It's all for my number one question. And I'm wondering if this is why I got locked out of my Twitter account. Where are his clothes? Like, he either is alleged to have gone from wherever he lived to Paul Pelosi's house in his underwear, get through whatever security they did or did not have. And if they didn't have, let them say it, break into the house in his underwear, and then look for Nancy Pelosi, allegedly violently attack Paul. But, Paul is so sneaky. He says, let me go to the bathroom. Or he took his clothes off in the house. Then I got questions.
And not only that, it's not clear when the assault actually took place, because at least the police report seemed to suggest that it took place. It was almost like when the cops arrived, that they're arguing over a hammer, and that Paul Pelosi has the hammer, then the other guy has the hammer, and then the guy, he attacks him in front of the police. I mean, nothing about this makes sense. Now, San Francisco is a notoriously corrupt town. Pelosi's have extraordinary political influence in that town. So I don't think anybody has confidence that we'll get an honest police report out of this, or that we'll get an honest investigation into this. But something is clearly way, way off. But the political narrative that this was a Democratic political thing, is a Republican attack, is nonsense. Well, I mean, they were trying to go through his blog, and they just decided to ignore all the leftist stuff, all the BLM stuff, all the nudist camp stuff, all that. There was even instructions apparently by the police to the press not to discuss the fact that he was the nudist guy that people actually were aware of. It's everything about this screams something else happened than the media Democratic narrative coming out of it. And my guess is it'll be something embarrassing about Paul Pelosi.
And I'll say this for everyone out there, like, this is a perfect example where one can explain the different spectrum of conspiracy theories. Some might say, I don't know, I haven't heard this yet, that it just never happened. Paul's faking his injuries. By all accounts, he was legit injured, fractured skull, by all accounts. Until that's
in the hospital, etc.
So what was someone was raising not an issue, but questions about the hospital that he went to. Had you heard
that? I don't know about either. So, I mean, it's just everything about it's a weird story that suggests something else. Elon Musk tweeted about it, and then I guess he took, in response to Hillary Clinton, and even though he owns Twitter, apparently he took down his own tweet, and now Twitter's trying to suppress the story. So we'll see how it. But it just this will be a test for Musk. Musk, now that he owns Twitter, this is the kind of story that needs full vetting. Again, an investigative journalist from the leans left, Glenn Greenwald, has said there's just huge flaws in this story. He said that there are things that require investigation because they're things that just don't add up. How he broke in doesn't add up. Why he's in his underwear doesn't add up. Why his clothes are gone doesn't add up. Why Pelosi has the hammer at one point doesn't add up. Why Pelosi's going to the bathroom to make the call before apparently
the wellness check is the very
wellness check doesn't add up. None of it adds up. And I guess the call has been leaked, but I haven't released, but I haven't listened to it. But what we know is there's got to be video footage around that home. And why isn't that video footage released yet? Something's on there that doesn't comport with the official narrative.
There's a funny one that said all 47 cameras malfunctioned. Case closed. Apparently, the cops have body cam footage of the moment DePop attacked.
And you can't tell me the Pelosi home doesn't have security footage. There's little chance of that. I mean, it's one of the most secured homes in America because of her political status and her proclivity for security. So you combine the two.
Inconceivable. But Robert, a lot of people are floating a name around that others might not be familiar with. I am familiar with it. Ed Buck, do you want to give us the quick and dirty?
He's a guy Democrats covered up for a long time. He would drug young black men and engage in abusive behavior towards them, and several of them died when he drugged them. I mean, it was just another one of these sort of sick perverts that dominate the Democratic Party in California, to be frank about it. There's no other way to put it. So and the media tried to cover for Buck, and Democrats tried to cover for Buck until too many dead people showed up. And so it was those kind of, it has a weird component. It may have a sexual subcomponent. I mean, something about it doesn't add up at all.